Welcome everyone to the Coaches 831 podcast. This is episode 7, lucky 7, and I'm really excited about our next guest. But before we get started, we always have to talk about the purpose of this podcast. Our purpose of this podcast is to celebrate the great game that we have in the 831 and also the coaches and their experiences. Like every podcast, we always do this in memory of Coach Anthony Cotty, my coach, my brother, my friend. All right, we are excited to welcome to the Coaches 831 podcast our next guest. Coach Jeff Carnazzo is a longtime 831 resident. He would like to start off by saying he appreciates the support of his wife Stacy, right? The coach at home, right, Coach?
That's Coach at home.
Yes, sir. And takes immense pride in his 2 adult children, Joe and Olivia. So shout outs to the Carnazzo clan, right? Who both graduated from UC Davis. Coach is the grandfather of 5 grandchildren that he wants to know that are all under the age of 4 and 1 on the way, right, Coach?
That's right.
Right on. So he is a graduate of Palma High School and is a proud member of the class of 1985. He has a bachelor's degree in exercise physiology from Fresno State University and holds a master's degree in education from Chapman University. Coach Carnazzo became the head coach at Palma in 2000 and in that time has become the winningest coach in Monterey County with an amazing record of 230 wins. That includes both a Northern Section and California State Championship in 2023. Congratulations on that, Coach. He also, a part of his resume are 5 CCS titles and 21 league titles. His coaching accolades includes being named the San Francisco 49ers Coach of the Year in 2003, and he is an 8-time League Coach of the Year. He has been teaching at Palma High School since 1991, combining 2 of his greatest passions, the study of history and the game of football. His 24-year dedication as a social studies and AP US history teacher has resulted in his students maintaining a staggering 90% pass rate, which far exceeds the national average. Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you.
Let's give a warm welcome to Coach Jeff Carnazzo. Welcome, Coach.
Thanks so much, Jesse. I really appreciate it, and I'm honored to be here.
Absolutely. The honor's all ours, Coach. The honor's all ours.
This is great for the community, and I'm happy to help out in any way that I can.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate that. So, Coach, first and foremost, how does it feel to hear all those accomplishments?
Oh, it's overwhelming. It really is. For me, I don't really like to sell. I figure I'll go over those more after retirement, and I'm not there yet. But I appreciate it, and it just tells me that I've been doing this for a really long time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So this is a question that is for me because we're kind of kindred spirits. Tell me more about the student of history. You know, you teach history, but you call yourself a student first and foremost.
Yes, I am, and I enjoy reading. I know that the kids nowadays that you've got to get them to read is really difficult. Something other than a short snippet, but from the internet. But for me personally, I always have a book that I'm reading, and it's usually on history. So if I'm not teaching it, I'm reading it, and that's the first thing I tell my students. And I tell my students also that I'm gonna teach AP US history, I'm gonna teach AP World History, but I'm really gonna coach it with all the passion that I find out there on the football field.
You know what they say, Coach. They say that you got to find something to do for all your life, but do it with joy, right?
Yeah. Do it with joy. I'm excited. I love it. I think most of my students would echo that. That I work hard in the classroom, just as hard in the classroom as I do on the field. And I've always been a firm believer in how you do anything is how you do everything. And I share that perspective with my players all the time. So I want to, mimic that in my own life, from how I teach my classes to how I take care of myself and get up at, like this morning we had weightlifting at 6:15, but I was up at 4 doing my own personal workout to stay in shape. And then, and I think that bodes well if the kids see that I teach with passion. I treat my family with passion. That they'll kind of learn from that.
Absolutely, Coach. So I don't you mind me asking what are you currently reading, Coach? I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm currently actually in a book club, and we're reading astronaut Michael Collins. His book that he published in I think 1973. It looks like there's going to be another mission to the moon, so we decided in our book club that we'd read that. So I'm about 20% into that book, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, 2035, right? That's where we're supposed to establish a permanent moon station.
Yeah, so there's exciting. A lot of talk of that. So in our book club, we said, hey, let's read about that.
Artemis is a big topic in my classroom too.
All right, all right.
So we're waiting, right? The window was open, right, for the launch, and we'll wait and see. Right?
Yeah,
absolutely, Coach. So growing up, Coach, how important was sports?
I was passionate about sports growing up. I was a really good baseball player and a pretty good football player, but I loved football. And I ended up having a really good career at Palma. But I played everything growing up. I played basketball. Didn't play in high school. I played baseball and football in high school. But golf, I'm very passionate about golf. I have been. I still, if it's not football season, I'm playing golf 3 times a week.
So if it has a ball in it, you're probably playing.
I'm playing it.
Yeah.
I'm super competitive, and that's part of the deal of why I became a coach and why I golf and and why I play games or whatever, because I like to compete.
Well, it's the saying, right? As iron sharpens iron, right? So do we sharpen each other, right? So right. I think it's important. It's one quote that I live by as well. So talking about football, we know you played at Palma, but what position were you, Coach?
I was a linebacker.
Middle, outside, or
inside linebacker, and that's what I've been coaching for 35 years. Inside linebacker. I'm also the offensive coordinator. I did play some running back also, but I was more like the fullback type.
The old fly.
The old, yeah. Well, yeah. My senior year, we installed the fly. Before my junior year, we were I formation, and I was basically a guard in the backfield.
Right on, Coach. So, any major accomplishments? You talked about you're a really good baseball player, but any accomplishments as a player, an athlete in high school?
I was captain on the football team, captain on the baseball team, all league in both sports, and I felt like I was a better baseball player, but I enjoyed football more. The sport, just everything about it. I just at my height. I probably wasn't gonna. I was bigger. I was probably 20 pounds more than I am now, but I'm still 5'8". So that kind of I knew that was gonna hinder me a little bit. But I had a really good career, and I had great coaches.
Right on.
And that's really what was my inspiration. Coach Paul McDonald was my baseball coach, and Norm Costa was my football coach, and just laid the groundwork for my future career.
So let's talk about that, Coach. So how did you decide to become a coach?
Well, it was actually Norm. I graduated from Fresno State, and I was kind of just doing odd jobs in Fresno, and a friend of mine, his father was the superintendent of schools in Salinas, said they really need substitute teachers. So I'm like, all right. So I packed up, came back home, started substitute teaching, and Norm Costa had heard that I was in town and called me and asked me if I wanted to coach football. Come out and coach, and I said, I'm intrigued by that. So I ended up coming in and saying I would do it, and then lo and behold, they had a job opening as a teacher. So I applied for the job, got the job. So I ended up teaching at the school, and then being an assistant on the JVs at the time. That was 1991.
That's a big compliment, right, coming from Coach Costa, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So again, I know you already mentioned a couple of coaches, but what are who are some of your mentors or influences in wanting to be a coach?
Well, in coaching, the two mentors, is obviously Paul McDonald. Paul McDonald is another one you should interview here. Tremendous motivator, and I think there'd be hundreds of athletes both at Palma and Salinas High that played for Paul McDonald that would say the same thing. Tremendous motivator. So he was my baseball coach. He was also my JV football coach. And then, of course, Norm Costa. Norm is my biggest influence in the world of football. Having played for him and the discipline that he instilled in me has continued to this day. And I say it all the time to my football players, and I'll say it to you, and I'll say it to anybody who will listen. Once a football player, always a football player. And it's that football mentality that gets you through hard times. Life is tough, and you better have some toughness to you.
How does that, and those words echo, I think, with every coach that we've interviewed, talking about how football is a reflection on life and what we need to be successful in life. You think that's you agree with that, and how football kind of taught you how to manage and be successful in what you do?
Absolutely. I'll sing it from the treetops. Everybody should play football because it teaches you so much. Everybody should have a stint as an offensive lineman, the most unselfish people on the planet.
Yeah, linemen are worth their weight in gold, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They work hard. They get no recognition, but they're the heart and soul. And you look at my team, the last year's team, the 2023 team that won the state championship. Next year's team especially, we're built from the inside out. Those are the guys that give the most. Those are the guys that work the hardest.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that get no recognition, but they do it no matter what.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that statement, Coach. But so Coach, how does it feel following, right, or being, after a not only a Palma legend but an icon in the 831 in Coach Costa?
That's a great question. It wasn't easy because the expectations were so high. Norm, one thing that Norm brought us into what was called the Division I at the time, but really would be the Open Division. He called me up to be an assistant coach, knowing that this was probably going to be his last year, knowing that I would be the heir apparent. So I got an opportunity to work directly with him. I mean, I was the head JV coach for 9 years, so I was with him constantly on campus. We're both on campus coaches. So when I got that opportunity to go up and see how he ran things and whatnot, I'm like, yeah, man, it was an incredible year, and I absolutely loved it. And I learned so much. But Norm was a private guy. He didn't tell me I'm bringing you up to be my heir apparent. He just brought me up, and then he all of a sudden retired. And he said, "You're the guy." And I froze. I'm like, wait, I thought I was going to get another year to learn under you. No, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. So I said, okay, and it was intimidating, for all the accolades and having played for him and all the games. As I was a JV coach, watching what was going on, he had won an incredible amount. I can't remember how many games in a row, but it was a record, and it was national news at the time. So it was intimidating taking it over. But that first year I took over, we had a team that wasn't supposed to be so good. Well, they're going to be honored on the 28th of February in the Palma Hall of Fame because we ended up going 12-1 and 1, or 11-1 and 1, and won the section title by beating Oak Grove in the championship. But I'm not dumb enough to think I'm on third base because I hit a triple. Right? I mean, I learned, and I had the benefit of having Norm.
You are a baseball guy.
I'm a baseball guy. I had the benefit of those kids were coached by Norm the previous year. Yeah, the younger kids were coached by me, but at the same time, Norm laid the groundwork, and I just wanted to make sure I didn't screw it up. Yeah. And I think I've done a pretty good job. And I think Norm had told numerous times that he was proud of me. And he's always been special in my life, and God rest his soul. And I got a note from his wife in 2023 that meant a lot to me. And it said, if Norm was alive, he'd be very proud of you.
That was a follow-up question, looking down and he would give you that thumbs up, right?
Yeah.
Feeling, yeah, absolutely.
He'd give me the thumbs up from the sidelines when he would go to games.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So in coaching, we talk about these non-negotiables, right? Things that we need. What are some of your non-negotiables, Coach?
Well, building culture. I'm big on culture, and it all starts in the weight room. I mean, to me, I think that's where teams are built, and we start February 1st every year. I take roll from day one, and I expect them to be there. I can't make it mandatory by CCS rule. I can't make it mandatory, but I make it's clear. I make it clear that this weight room is important. This is where championships are built, and so that to me is important in building a program. Is you have to have a weight program. You have to get kids to work hard, and they don't always want to work hard. Like case in point, this morning we get there at 6:15. Everybody's there. I got 52 kids there this morning. Tired. The first thing I tell them: put your phone away, put your AirPods away. Right? Every morning there's no phones, no AirPods. They need to interact with each other. They need to be focused on what they're doing. But still, after we closed up at 7:15 when we're done, 1 hour workout, pretty intense. But still, there's guys that are, not pushing themselves as much as I think that they should.
So, I have two questions, but one, a follow-up question in your idea about culture. Do you think it's hard to maintain that high level? At Palma, the expectation, tradition, the results are always at a high level, right? The expectations. To maintain that or to build that?
What are you asking me?
Yeah. Because it's hard to maintain, right?
It's hard to maintain because you have to be on point every year, all the time. And that's what's hard for coaches, right? Is that there's a lot of, we go every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from February all the way through the season. So, and then I give them a couple months off. It's a 10-month-a-year deal. You have to be on point all the time.
Do you think it's vital to have the buy-in from your seniors or your returners or your leaders?
Yep. Yeah. When that happens, it's magical. When you've got strong leadership from your seniors, and that's what we're looking for right now. And that's why I said that today is like, it's easy to be normal, right? It's easy. Everybody, hey, let's go here, let's work out a little bit. But you're here at 6:15. Push past that.
How do you cultivate that leadership, that sustained leadership from one group to the next? Coach?
It's built in our program. It's in our culture. That it's the leadership is passed down from group to group to group. And every once in a while you'll get an Eli Dukes who, as a sophomore, bought into that. It's uncommon for kids to want to lead. It really is. As much as people want to talk about, hey, you need to be a leader, it needs to be modeled.
And he's probably one of your hardest workers.
He's my best player and he's my hardest worker. When you get a combination like that, it's magical. And then the guys that are younger are seeing that, and then it kind of works for itself, and pretty soon it's your program builds itself. Yeah. And you get guys like that, and Caden Cologne is my right tackle, who's a Division I prospect, and he busts his rear end every single day. He has the ability to delay gratification, knowing that our first game is until August 28th. But I'm seeing in every rep, I'm seeing the guy in front of me that I have to dominate. And when they start understanding that, rather than going through the motions, like so many of them were doing this morning, it's easy to be normal, right? You could get in the habit of pushing yourself. Absolutely. Form your habits, and then your habits form you.
Absolutely, Coach. So my next question it's about something you said earlier about when you were a JV coach and Coach Costa, you had built this communication and I'm thinking back, not all programs have that. How important is you being able to have good people in your program, and I'm talking about like your coaches and being able to not only delegate but communicate to them your expectations, Coach.
Okay, great. That's a great topic because I think it's the number one most important factor when it comes to taking a job somewhere. Right? Plenty of people want to be head coaches, and there's plenty of people out there that are really good head coaches, but they don't have a staff. Right? They need to have a good staff. I am blessed. From day one, Johnny Amaral has been on my staff. Johnny Amaral has been coaching there longer than I have. I've been there 35 years. He's been there 37. Right? I had him by my side. He's been there from the time I took over in 2000 to now, and he'll continue. When we both tell each other we don't want to do it without each other.
Shout out to Coach Amaral.
Coach Amaral.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coach Nick Naroyan. He played for me in 2000. 1,000-yard rusher for me 2 years in a row. As I told him when he graduates from college, after he went and played college football in down Southern California, and I said, when you graduate, the day you graduate, you come back here, you're going to be my defensive coordinator. I remember he graduated, he came to school, I was given a final in June, and he said, I'm here. I said, go see Brother Dunn, who was the principal at the time. They gave him a job right there on the spot. He became my defensive coordinator that year, the day after he graduated from college. He's been with me ever since.
Right on.
He's the heir apparent, right?
Right on.
John Noska played for me in 2013, 2014, and he'd be the first to tell you he wasn't a great player. Barely saw the field, but he was the first one to weightlifting. I want to be the first one to weightlifting as a head coach. I don't want anybody beat me there. I could never beat that guy. And he knew everybody's assignment. I said, you're going to coach for me. So what John Noska did, John Noska went and attended MPC so he could coach with me. His senior year at Palma, during spring football, he's out there coaching with me. He's on my staff. I had him start at the lower levels, and then he was so good, I brought him up a couple years later. But he designed his education around coaching football. MPC 2 years, CSUMB 2 years, got his teaching credential, got his master's degree, and now he's my offensive line coach, my special teams coach, and my defensive line coach. Those are the guys that I'm blessed to be around. It's always been my goal as a head coach to surround myself with people who are smarter than me. Not that difficult to do, but I've done that successfully, right? Those guys are really, really good. And they're on camp. Those two, John and Nick, are on campus. So we kind of
how important is that to have
on campus? Yeah. Having a head coach on campus, number one, it's a must. I don't know how anybody does it. There's people that can do it, and God bless them, but I don't know how. And then it's a luxury having other guys, but just have guys that you could count on. When you go take this great job, but then you have to try to find coaches that their ideals match your ideals, your goals and aspirations, their goals and aspirations match yours. It's not easy to do, and you set yourself up for failure if you have to do it by yourself. Randy Blankenship, hats off to Randy Blankenship at Aptos, is able to do offense, defense, and everything and be successful. Got a lot of respect for that man. But that's hard to do. You need to surround yourself with good people, and then communication is key.
Absolutely.
Communication, like at the front, if you have the ability to be able to field a freshman team, you got to do it. You got to have a freshman program that gets these freshmen in, lets them play together, lets them have success. Our goal is to have every freshman play on the freshman team. Now, occasionally we have a hole at quarterback like we did last year. We had to pull one of them up to play, but freshmen play freshman football. Sophomores play JV football, and some of them, if they're good enough, will play on the varsity. And then the communication at all three levels, and making sure that the offense and defense and special teams at the freshman level match, and the JV level match what we're doing to a certain extent, right? Just a basic idea. I want my freshmen to run inside zone, outside zone, and power, and I want my JVs to run the same thing. I want them to what we're doing on defense. I want them to be running our even front. I want them to be running the same type of blitzes that we're running, but just a basic form of it. And then communication.
Lower levels, it's just about development. Mm-hmm. Right on, Coach. Right on. I know you touched on this already, but I'll give you both questions. What are some of your keys to success, and also what have been some of your challenges, or what are some of the challenges?
Okay, I think the key to our success is our culture that's built in, that started with Norm, continued with what we're doing as a staff. So I think that is, but we get good players. We get good players, no doubt about it. But we also develop those players. We put them in positions that they're going to succeed in. We run the offense and defense to who our personnel is. If I have a dynamic quarterback that we're able to throw the ball around, or a quarterback who's a runner, Like Thomas Nunez was a guy who could throw and run. Then we're multiple. We're in the gun. But we also, a lot of our, if you've seen a lot of our games, we're 21 personnel. We'll go 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends sometimes, under center, take advantage of the fact that I've got an awesome offensive line and a great tailback. And that works. That's good. We'll run the ball. We take pride in running the ball when everybody in the stadium knows we're going to run the ball. When everybody knows we're going to run power right, and we run power right, and we make 8 yards on it, that's prideful.
It's like Woody Hayes said, right? 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all you need, right? Really, 3.5 yards and first down.
That's it.
Right on, Coach. Like, what are some of your challenges? Do you?
I think challenges. I have a great, like, the administration at Palma. They support what we do. The president is Chris Dahlman of the school, so he supports football. Our principal David Sullivan supports it. He's at everything, and our athletic director Brian Neff is tremendous. And we have a great support system, and we have a great administration at Palma that lets us be successful. Right? We have our facilities. If you've seen them, are brand new, incredible. We have the best facilities. A weight room they're gonna break ground in a weight room in May. That's gonna be state of the art. So we have the facilities now. We have the administration. We have the infrastructure. There's no challenge there. So sometimes it's like distractions with the kids right now with social media, getting them off their phone. You're never going to get that phone out of their hands, right? Because they freak out if you do. But it's a distraction, and that's why I banned phones in the weight room, because we used to have our program on the phone, but then I'd go look around and they're sitting on the bench right over there and they're on Instagram, Snapchat in between their sets, and I'm like, no, that's not going to work. So distractions like that. And I think too, a big thing, and I don't know, maybe I shouldn't, but vaping, right? The kids that it's out there and it's everywhere. Even like we get great kids at Palma, we have great, but it happens there too. So kids that go down that path, they don't understand the consequences, right? I mean, we have freedom of choice, but we don't have freedom of consequences.
Yes.
And that's just like, I try to explain that to the kids. And if you make that choice to go down that path, you're going to get in trouble. 2, your health is going to go bad. 3, you're not going to be as good an athlete as you think you are.
Yes.
So those are some of the challenges that I have.
Well, without saying either one of us is old, but do you think that now high school sports, especially high school football, is now kind of, you have to run it kind of like a college program in a way, where you have to have, again, facilities and in a way, I guess they call it the branding of a program. You think that's a key to being successful or having a good program?
I think it helps. In Northern California, at least in this area, we're not there yet. But you go down to Southern California, it's college football light there. Okay, so now, and that's a challenge that's going to happen in the future, is kids transferring and going all over and it happens in Southern California all the time. And you have to recruit your halls, and you got to make sure you keep your players. It's going to get down to this area.
You think NIL has something to do with that?
Yeah, I think it does. I hate what's gone on. When the college coaches come in and talk to us about our players and whatnot, I say, I don't know how you do what you do. I put my heart and soul into these players. I'm with them more than their parents are. We're in the weight room together. We're at practice together. And then I couldn't I'm not getting enough playing time. I'm gonna leave. That mentality is just so bad. I just hate what's gone on. I hate watching a college football game and then the announcer talking about how this running back went to 4 different colleges. Where's your loyalty? So it's going to creep down into this area. I'm just glad that it's not. Yeah. And then maybe when it does creep down in that area, then that's my time to say, yeah, this has been great.
It's the business side of the game, right? Unfortunately.
I love coaching. I always say I'm a professional in teaching and coaching 15, 16, 17-year-old kids. You put my knowledge up against anybody in the nation. I've been doing it for 35 years. Parents want to come and tell me how to do this or that. Excuse me. I've been doing this for 35 years. I'm not always right, but most of the time I am.
There's a quote that, the coach that says, oh, the kids are changing, and another person, oh, the kids don't change, you're changing, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's important, right? We have to adjust to.
We have to adjust to them, and that's what I did. I think I'm pretty good at that. That I understand that there's these distractions. It's a distraction for me too. I'd be lying if I said I didn't be on Instagram or whatever. I mean, I like that just as much as they do, but.
We'll get Coach's Instagram account in a second, right, Coach? So, Coach, Palma has produced some notable alumni, right? I can go down the list. Of course, Chris Dahlman played in the NFL. David Fales, Michael Gasperson, also NFL player. Elliot Vallejo, NFL. Drew Dahlman, NFL. Orlando Johnson, NBA, and I know he was a pretty good football player too, right?
Yes, he was.
Yeah. And the list, you could continue with the other sports as well. What can you tell me? What distinguished them? What made them stand out? Right? What was the it factor in them?
Generally speaking, they work harder than everybody else in the weight room, and they have talent. Someone take Drew Dahlman for example. I mean, was one of the best students I've ever taught. His understanding of history, his attention to detail in writing an essay, and the same habits that he was formed by Chris and Yanni, his parents. Those habits that were formed, that's what allowed him to be such a great football player, because he understood how important the weight room was. He understood how important working outside of the field and getting involved in other sports, and
the epitome of what a student athlete is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And David Fales was the same way. He had a football in his hand all the time.
Drive you crazy a little bit, quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, he absolutely, in a good way.
Yeah.
Brian Reeder went on and played at Idaho, had a football in his hands all the time. I wanted to convert him to a tight end because he was such a big player. Coach, I want to play quarterback. Well, he's one of the best quarterbacks that I had, and now he's coaching football at Louisville. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Right on, Coach. Again, shout outs to all those distinguished Palma alumni that we.
And you know what, Jesse? I'm really
sir.
proud of those guys, but I'm also proud of a lot of my players that come back. And John Bonanno, receiver and kicker for me, and now he's an orthopedic surgeon in Salinas, or Lou Amaral, who is doing great things in the produce world, and kids constantly coming back. It makes me proud to coach their kids in next level. It's a flag football league that I run, and I have all these little kids running around with their names on the back of their jerseys, and so many of them I coach their dads, and watching their dads coach them and be with their kids and become great men, family oriented. That makes me just as proud as when I watch Drew Dahlman dominate on the football field. I love seeing that. Don't get me wrong, but it just makes me proud.
Is it easy for you to get?
We're building men.
Is it easy for you to get tickets, Coach? Yes, absolutely.
Oh yeah, if I want, I try not to bother them because I know, those guys that I try to
that Chicago team right there on the edge, right? Of
Yeah.
maybe something special, right?
Yeah,
With that quarterback as well.
I can't wait. I was talking to Chris yesterday, and I want to meet with Drew and talk about their inside run game. They run the ball effectively. It's good stuff.
So, Coach, how does your season look like? From when one season, ends to the next season. What does that look like for your program?
Well, when the season ends, you hope it ends in December, because that means you're successful. In the last few years, we have been. We went to the CCS finals. Well, obviously, we went all the way to almost to Christmas in 23, and then 24 we made the finals against Wilcox. They were the 1 seed, and it was a great game, and we ended up losing that game, but went into December, and then this, we ended up doing fairly well this year too, getting into the second round. So once that ends December, then Christmas hits, and I give them that time off, and then I give them January off. This is no, hey, they're at school, they can concentrate on what they're doing. and then we start February 1st in the weight room, and that's when the season for us begins. However, we're big advocates in my program in multi-sport athletes.
That was going to be my follow-up question.
Right. I want my football players playing other sports. So that's why we're a morning program. Like we start at 6:15 in the morning, and they're done. They're done with their workout. And I'm really cognizant of other sports. Hey, baseball players, I know. Hey, how's a baseball coach feel about them lifting? And I'm always and they're really good. We all at Palma, we're a small school, very small, so we work together. So if the coach says no, they can't go because we have 3 games this week, then I'm not gonna. I don't say a word. So that's why we do things in the morning, so they have the opportunity. Most coaches appreciate it because you're getting them stronger. The baseball coach loves it. He's also my JV football coach, and because he's talks about how important it is for baseball. So yeah, then we start up February 1st every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 6:15 to about 7:15, 1 hour in and out, and then they go to school. And then and we just continue to do that, and then in May, late May is when we get our 10 days on the field for spring football. We usually don't take advantage of all 10 because what we're doing is we're preparing for the 7-on-7 season. Is that in the summertime? That's when you build your offense, you build your defense during 7-on-7. It's not 7-on-7 like you see, all the stuff that goes on with the fights and all that. Well, we'll go like Monterey and Palma and Salinas, and we're 7-on-7, and we all kind of understand that it's not about winning and losing. It's about helping each other out and
getting those reps in, right?
Yeah, that's an important part of the summer for us, and we work out all summer long, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and it's again morning program. But then a lot of times in the afternoon we're coming back for practice, and so it's a lot of work. It's a commitment, and that's why I say everybody should play football because why? Football's hard. And so is life.
Yeah. So here's a follow-up question. Now with the inclusion or the rise in popularity in women's sports, right? And Palma as well. What does that mean to your program or to your school to see like the flag football, like the women's teams, right? That that are just as competitive, right, and just as intense as the men's side, right?
Yeah, it's fun to see. Yeah. And Palma going co-ed. It's been great. We had some concerns about facilities and how it's going to, but we've learned to share and do all that. Now everything's turf, so it's going to be great. But seeing the young ladies compete, it's tremendous. I love it. Some of them I go, gosh, I wish she could play on my football team. They're mentally tough. They're physically tough.
Do you think that's where the direction the game might go in, where it's a co-ed game, like at all levels, eventually? Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, right? So it's been good. Now it's the number of girls and boys are evening out. So we have a small campus, so that means that the amount of boys that I get yearly now has kind of gone down because it evens out boys and girls. So we have to be real creative there to make sure that we're doing an even better job in the weight room because we're having less kids.
That's a good point, Coach. So you already kind of touched base with this, but I'm a big proponent in the off season, right? You already mentioned 7-on-7s. What is your for the student athlete, their commitment? What does your off season look like, Coach?
Yeah, that's kind of the direction I was going. Is that our off season starts February 1st, and then every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in the weight room all the way through. So we start February 1st, we go all the way up till, like I said, we have spring, and then we go into the summer. And the summer is intense for us. It's practice every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, with Tuesday being a 7-on-7 day. Occasionally, weekend 7-on-7 tournaments that we go and try to compete. Not to win the tournament, sometimes we do, but it's more to build team camaraderie and, of course, your offense and your defense. We take it just as serious defensively as we do offensively. We put in the coverages that we're actually going to use. Like you'll go play some teams and they're playing man all over the place. Then you go play in the regular season, they don't play man at all. That's just a 7-on-7 thing, so they could go win a 7-on-7, which is ridiculous. But we have certain aspects of our defense, like our cover 2, our cover 6 are, too high, man, if it's like a prevent situation and we want to go too deep, man under, we'll do that. We don't do that very often, but there's times that we do. There's our opportunity to work on it.
Yeah, it gives you that opportunity for those reps. Yeah. Right
so that's all through the summer, and we're working out all the way through, and then the season starts. And then once the season starts, we back off to 2 days a week in the weight room, every Monday and Wednesday. So we play most of the time on a Friday night. And then I don't demand that my kids come in on Saturday. Some programs do, I don't. I let them go. Hey, Friday's the last time. Have a good weekend. Mm-hmm. My coaches are responsible for watching video on Saturday. We meet every Sunday morning during the season as a staff. And we go through and we watch film when we have to watch film. But we've been together so long, that it's just you had a guy like Rick Dukes is another coach that's on my staff. Used to be at Hollister, used to be at Gilroy. His son, I've coached his older sons years ago. We maintain this friendship, and he comes in and he's on my staff also, and he's very creative, way more creative than I am. So I rely.
You always need one of those guys, right?
You do. He's the one that thinks I'm the one that thinks we're going to run inside zone, outside zone, power, and we're going to jam it down their throat. And he's going to say, hey, why don't we look at this and why don't we do this?
I like him already, Coach.
Yeah, he's really, really creative, and we lean on him big time on the. So then that's on Sunday with the coaches, and then on Monday morning is when the first time I see the kids is in the weight room at 6:15. 6:15 they get there. We have in season. It's a great workout. This is, oh man, if anybody wants to know about our in season workout, I think it really helps us stay healthy. I won't get into the details, but it's a 30-minute in and out workout, and they get a great workout, and it keeps them healthy, keeps them in shape. It's a maintenance type deal. And then we go through our practices, but it's all the way through the year. We work out in the weight room. We never stop from February 1st on.
So year round.
It's year round. They're just the two. The only time is January is the month I give them off.
Right. So you had talked about encouraging multi-sport athletes. You think that's this day of specialization, right? Where a lot of students athletes are can play a sport year round. How important that is to be a because you were a multi-sport athlete, how important is that, and how difficult is to have the 3-sport or 4-sport athlete?
How difficult is it, or how is it?
Yeah. Well, do you think it's difficult in this day and age of specialization, Coach?
No, I think it's great. I really do. I don't like specialization, but sometimes there's a golfer, and those guys got to play all the time. Yeah. They have to. I mean, I kind of understand that this golfer's not going to go play inside linebacker for me, or go play. But they're probably better golfers if they've been on the free throw line at the last seconds of the game and been able to make a free throw, clutch free throw. But I will till the day I die be a believer in multi-sport athletes. Case in point, Eli plays 4 sports. After football, he goes right into soccer. After soccer, he goes into 2 sports. He goes into lacrosse and track, so he could be better at football, working on his speed. 4 sports. So, and most of our football players are multi-sport. Very few of them are football only. And if they are, I'm telling them, go throw the shot, go throw the discus, go run track if they're a skilled athlete.
If not another sport, but hopefully just they're busy, right? They're keeping themselves involved. Yeah, absolutely, Coach. So we have a couple final questions here, Coach. What is one final thought or quote that you want to leave with our listeners?
Well, I'll tell you what I tell my coaches all the time in our meetings is coach every kid every day. If this is advice for other coaches, it's coach every kid every day. I try to, in the morning, if I've got 52 kids in that show up, I want to go to each kid. I want to say, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? Fist bump them. Most of them are really good at doing that when they come in, and I could, joke with them, laugh with them. Maybe, they need to get a little bit of a encouragement to work harder or something. Coach every kid every day, and don't let them fall by the wayside. It's easy to do that because there's a lot of these kids that they don't want to be seen. They're quiet. They don't. But I never want a kid to go home and say I didn't get coached. So I think that's really important. And that's part of the culture too. It's like, because you know how it is. It's like one kid, the one kid on your team could bring down your spirit, the spirit of your team. They really can. It could be one disgruntled kid with bad body language. You know, so you help, kind of head it off at the pass by meeting with them, talking to them, finding out what are the issues. Are there any issues? Coach every kid every day.
You never know.
Yeah,
you never know.
You just never know, because I'm a big thing. Body language and communication, big thing, right? Your body language is like a billboard for your mental toughness, right? If you're walking around like this, that shows lack of mental toughness.
So you can't coach attitude and energy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Attitude and energy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Attitude and energy.
Right on. So for our listeners who might want to contact you, Coach, how could they?
Best would be to email me at carnazzo@gopalma.org. Carnazzo@gopalma.org.
And I will put that also on the podcast. I will post it as well. So if you would like to contact Coach Carnazzo.
Yeah, we're an open book. We're proud of our program, and I love it. Anybody who wants to learn, our practices or meetings, whatever.
Right on, Coach. So, is there anything that we haven't talked about, Coach, that you'd like to share?
No, I had a scare this year that kind of really. It was a scare. It was the beginning of the year. I've never been sick a day in my life, and going into the first, I was so excited about the first week. We're going to play North County this year, and
shout out to Coach Cuevas.
Coach Cuevas, he's awesome. We're Sunday. We had our meeting with our coaches, and I don't even know why I'm talking about this, but it just came to my mind right now how thankful I am for coaching, and and how much it really helped me get better. But I had all of a sudden Sunday afternoon, I'm sitting there with my wife, we're watching TV, and I just got this really bad headache. I'm like, what the heck is that? I'm not a headache guy. I don't get headaches. And I'm like, oh man, start getting like hitting the back of my head going, what the heck is that? And my wife says, it's not right. I go, no, let me go take some Advil. So I'm like, I'll go take some Advil. I'll be fine. Laid back down. It wasn't getting better. And I'm going, oh my gosh, what is this? My wife said, we're going to the hospital. So I go to the hospital, and my wife's trying to find a part. She's like, I'm fine. I'll walk in. So I walk in, and I like, hobbled in, and I said, I'm not feeling good. I have this really bad headache. They went into stroke protocol, and I'm like, what the heck? My wife's freaking out, and they took me back, and they did a scan on my head, see what was going on. And then I went back, and I'm sitting there with my wife, and I'm talking. Hey, I gotta get out of here. I gotta, we got a game next week. And then the doctor comes in and says, you've had a brain bleed, a hemorrhagic brain bleed. What the heck is that? And she goes, we just saw it on there. And I said, well, I need to go home. I got practice tomorrow. I got a game this week. She goes, no, you need to stay here. I go, well, I can't. I've never missed a practice in 35 years, not one practice. And she goes, you're gonna have to stay. So next thing you know, they got me on a gurney, and they're taking me to ICU. And I ended up spending 2 days in ICU, and they monitored this, and it ended up being it was a brain bleed. I mean, it was super painful for a week. I was like, could barely move my head, but I was in the hospital for 3 days, and they kept telling me I was gonna be in there long. I'm like, no, I gotta go. And I told the doctor, I got to be able to coach Friday. I got it. And he goes, no, you're not going to coach Friday. So I willed myself to get better. And by 3 days in, I said, Doc, I'm good. And he said, yeah, okay, yeah, you are. You're really doing well. The brain bleed has not gotten worse. Bottom line is, he told me, you're like 10%er. Like only 90% of the people who get what you get end up in stroke, or 50% of those die. He goes, you got lucky. You hit the lotto. He literally told me I hit the lotto. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And he goes, but you got to take it slow. I go, can I go back to practice on Monday? He goes, I'd rather you not, but let's see how things go. So I said, I'm good. So I was out there practicing on Monday, and then I ended up coaching the Hillmar game, which is the next week. But I could not raise my voice because my head was in so much pain, and I had an assistant coach. JT Emerald, Johnny's son, who was right next to me, calling out what my packages that I wanted in there and the plays that I had to communicate. So I ended up getting back out there, but I got better, and I attribute it to football because I needed to get back in. Of course, my family, obviously. My family is so incredibly important. That's why I'm passionate about my family, number one, in football is a big part of what I'm passionate about also. But that really helped me get back in the game and get healthy. And I got a clean bill of health. A month later, the doctor said, "You're good." He goes, I don't anticipate anything like this. He goes, "It was a freak thing." And he goes, "I probably won't see you back here."
That was my follow-up question. How are you managing now, right? So
totally fine.
That's awesome, Coach. That's awesome. Again, I want to thank Coach Jeff Carnazzo of the Palma Chieftains. Thank you for joining us today.
Could I add one more thing?
Oh, absolutely.
About Anthony Cotty?
Absolutely.
I know
Coach.
Anthony Cotty was a good friend of yours, and he was a good friend of mine too. And I'll never forget when I had to become AD, because our AD, Steve Clayton, passed away in 2013, and I had no idea. Like, he just died all of a sudden. And then I had to figure out how to be an AD. I had no idea, nor did anybody else, because Steve did everything. I had to, and biggest help for me, Anthony Cotty. He was the AD at Seaside at the time, and we were both, starting out as ADs, and he just kind of said, "This is," he taught me the ropes, and I will never ever forget that, and I really appreciate that from Anthony.
Thank you for sharing that, Coach. We really appreciate that. His first coaching job at North County was with me, and we just hit it off and we became family, So thank you for that. So again, I want to thank Coach Jeff Carnazzo. Thank you, Coach, for the honor of the interview. I greatly appreciate it. Again, like I always say at the end of our podcast, go out and support one of our local schools. Again, you never know who you might be supporting, and also you never know who's going to watch you there and be appreciative of you being out there to support them in whatever sport. So go out there, find that passion again for our local sports and our student athletes, not only at the high school level, but from K through, I coach elementary school, so even a fifth grade game, or even our local community college and colleges as well. It's a great game. So again, Coach Carnazzo, like you said, football, there's nothing else like it. And everybody, if you can't play, you might as well come and join us as a spectator, right? You never know what you might learn. But again, I want to thank you, and I want to thank Coach Carnazzo. And then look out for some more interviews. We have a couple of great guests. We have started kind of the Legend series with our first interview with Coach Terry Espinoza, and we have a couple more in line as well. So again, thank you so much, Coach. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. It was an honor and a pleasure, Jesse.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach.